everybody, welcome to today's video. This is CanHD here, and welcome to playthrough number 6 of Eden. Let's get to it. In the last playthrough of Eden, we went through the Natsume storyline and learned about Ryou's past. So, after all that build-up and learning about Natsume and Ryou and his past and how everything kind of comes together, we kind of got a bit of a better picture on who Ryou is as a person and what kind of guy he is. And we're going to see how he, I guess, changes through this, because I'm pretty sure he's about to change after what Elica said to him in his room that one night, or that one day. I'm pretty sure he's gonna change quite a bit. So we can only just see what happens from here. So let's get to it. I'm gonna get right into it this time, guys. I don't got much to say, so let's go. Only the light tap of fingers on a keyboard echoed in the room. She hadn't noticed when I called out, knocked, or when I opened the door. Her sights were set upon nothing but the monitors in front of her. I sensed someone spying on us from outside the door. The two guards on duty were probably suspicious of me appearing all of a sudden and barging into her room. They didn't matter to me. I couldn't take my eyes off Shion's rigid, perfectly upright posture as she sat at her workstation. She wasn't doing this for any one individual. She who dedicated her life for all of humanity. I couldn't help but be captivated by the sight of her.
あなたはなぜ宇宙への道を切り開こうと思ったのですか?
Starting off the new playthrough with a new theme. I'll take it. I'll take it. Let's go. It was fine if she didn't answer. I just wanted to ask. At what point did she decide this to be her fate? I wanted to hear her put it into words. Shion's hand suddenly stopped. However, she didn't turn around. Still staring at the monitor, her hands left the keyboard and brushed her hair.
この世界に生きる人々を救いたいと思ったから。私は優しいエリカに育てられた。何の報いもないのに、エリカは優しかった。だから私も人々を救おうと思った。優しくしようと思ったの。その対象が一人の人間か、人類すべてか。エリカと私がやったことの違いといえば、それくらい。
That's a pretty huge difference. I'm not gonna lie, Shion.
あなたの優しさを受けた者たちがあなたをここに縛り付けた。
見返りを求めたわけじゃないもの。悲しいことではあるけれど。
Shion has such a small frame. So very small that it seemed like she could break any second. But I was sure she wouldn't. Nobody could break her. Even though her body was this small. This kind, strong little girl refused to be crushed by the sorrow she carried.
でも、私にも欲しいものがなかったわけじゃない。
They started strong with this one. She stood and turned this way. Her sharp gaze peered at a practically. Her sharp gaze peered at a practically. Wait, reading that just sounds completely wrong out loud. Her sharp gaze peered at and practically pierced through me. Okay.
何かを残したかったのかもしれない。
This is
残したかっ
quite a
た。
sad angle to be looking at her, huh?
私は、いえ、私たちには子供ができないの。
Pain.
フェリクスには生殖能力がない。
Pain.
そういうこと。
She nodded without
生き物
hesitation.
として私たちフェリクスが人類より優れていることは事実。だから私たちが自然に増殖していくことを恐れた。私たちは自然の法則から外れた生き物なの。私たちは一つの命を燃やし尽くし、その後には何も残らない。私は納得できなかったの。生まれてただ消えていくだけの命なんて。だから欲しかった。生きた証が。私がこの世界にいたということを一人でも多くの人に知ってもらいたかった。
But this world's gonna die. There was absolutely no hesitation nor trembling in her voice. The ability she possessed and her entire life itself were used for the sake of others. Surely, there were those who criticized her, and there were those who wouldn't approve of her. But her accomplishments were self-evident.
あなたのことを知らない者はいない。この先どれだけ人類の歴史が続いても、あなたの名前が忘れられることはないでしょう。それで満足しましたか？今、この場で死ぬとしても、何の後悔もありませんか？
She didn't respond. Her eyes said she was searching for something. Her heart was prowling elsewhere. She looked towards me again and gently shook her head.
やるべきことは全てやったと思う。もう私がいなくても地球脱出計画は完遂可能なはず。でも、私の命はまだ残ってる。
その残った時間を何のために使いますか？
She didn't answer, and it didn't look like she had any intention of doing so. But I knew her wish. Or so I thought. It would be the same as Natsume. Yeah, I figured Ryou would do something like this.
シオン、
He knows that Natsume and Shion are one and the same, both stuck and confined in his
あなたは
mansion.
泣いたことはありますか？
Yeah, Ryou completely changed. This is a whole nother person now. This is a whole nother character.
私は泣いたりしない。泣いてしまったら、もう二度と立ち上がれなくなるから。
Where was Shion's heart trying to lead her? Does she no longer have anywhere to go? If she couldn't go anywhere, if she had somewhere she wanted to go, just like Sis did. He's checking her all out. The place really didn't matter. She would need to try and fly first. And someday, she would invariably arrive there. Shion likely knew that as well. And though she knew, she couldn't take off so long as the wind which would carry her didn't blow. If that's the case, if the wind will not blow, then Oh, Ryou about to do something crazy. Oh, he about to do something crazy. Okay, let's see how this goes. Oh, he about to do something crazy. Alright, Ryou, you ready? Oh, okay. How many minutes had I spent looking at this target now? My fingers resting on the trigger would not move for me. He knows what he wants to do. He knows what he must do, but he also knows what it takes to do what he needs to do. Human targets were the only ones I ever hesitated with after I entered the military, and that stopped after the second or third target. If I didn't shoot, I would be shot. I understood that much faster than other new recruits. After that, I just shot, and shot some more. I shot my enemies as they appeared, ran away when I was being shot at, turned around and shot them when they stopped shooting. It was a series of events that I repeated endlessly. As I piled on the sins, no longer lamenting over those who's lost their lives, my human heart slowly but surely faded into the shadows. My memories of her felt like they were disappearing with each pull of the trigger. Still, I could not stop. I didn't even think of stopping. But because I ended up remembering my sister, and because I happened to meet those two, Shion and Elica, I had never so much as considered something as naive as being able to redo my past. But if I were to rescue those two lonely girls, then maybe. The girl in the military uniform was quite irritated. It only got worse since she didn't have anyone to vent her frustrations on.
おい、ラビー順位
Inaba's voice was a little agitated. He had been sitting at his desk and was looking over some documents.
はい。
なんなんだ、朝っぱらから人の部屋来てそんな怖い顔して。俺なんかやったか？
そんなに怖い顔してますか？
してるしてる。どうだ、酒でも飲んでリラックスするか？
飲むわけないでしょ。
Lavie glared at her sloppy commanding officer.
少佐、まさか朝から飲んだりしてないでしょうね。
さすがに朝からは飲まんよ。めったに。
少佐は少し酒量が過ぎるかと思います。早死にしますよ。
やっぱり機嫌が悪いな。どうしたんだ？
Yeah, that doesn't sound like Lavie.
別に。
That doesn't sound like Lavie. Lavie turned away in a huff. She wondered why she was here in the first place, and could not fathom why she was behaving so poorly. All she had wanted was to not be holed up in a room, nor be somewhere she might accidentally run into a certain someone.
ねえ少佐、少しお話ししていいですか？
Lavie is acting oddly. I don't know what the word to use on this one is.
構わんよ。もう少ししたら仕事が一つ入ってくるが、それまででいいなら。
She wants attention, I think, in a sense. But I know there's another word I'm looking for. Lavie briefly cast her eyes downward and hesitated for a moment before speaking out.
私、父親のことをよく知らないんです。
父親？ラビーの父上は確か警察官だったな。
Lavie nodded slightly.
公安の刑事だったそうです。ほとんど家に寄りつかなくて、たまに帰ってきても食事して寝るだけ。無口でほとんど笑わないし、子供心に少し怖かったことを覚えてます。私の方から父に話しかけることもなくて、時々出かけていく背中を見送っただけ。どうでもいい人だったんです、私にとっては。平和な街で母や妹との穏やかな生活がずっと続いていくんだと信じていました。
Inaba gazed at Lavie's face, which was neither serious nor impassive, without interrupting. Although she was a little embarrassed, she continued to tell her story.
でもある日、父が死んで、そこから全てが変わってしまいました。職場からの帰り道、背後から銃で頭を撃ち抜かれて、
Well, I mean, if you
即死だったそうです。
if you got shot back in the head, I'm pretty sure you'd die instantly. I don't think I know many people that probably survived being shot in the back of the head.
職業柄敵は多かったんでしょうけど、今も犯人は捕まっていません。多分もう捕まることはないでしょう。
Really now? So the mystery is who killed
もう
Lavie's
8年も
father.
前のことです。
So he was
その頃はま
assassinated.
だ移民に反対する組織が火がついたように暴れ回ってた時期だな。公安の刑事には危険も多かっただろ
不思議とそれほど犯人が憎いとは思わなかったんです。父だってそういう結末を覚悟して仕事していたでしょうし、刑事だったとか殺されたとか、そんなことはどうでもよかったんです。父は死んだ。
う。悲しくはなかったのか。
Lavie's eyes grew wide as she was momentarily surprised by the major's question. But her unrest passed like a gentle breeze and her eyes returned to normal.
母も妹も泣いてました。でも多分どこか壊れてるんですね、私。
Yo, something's really wrong with Lavie.
親
Holy
の死に
shit.
涙の一つも流さず、すぐに軍への入隊を決めたりとか、我ながらわけわからないですよ。まあ父が残したお金があるって言っても、まだ妹も小さくて
母は箱入りでしたから、私が何とかしないとって感じで。軍は実質的には入隊に年齢制限なんかないに等しかったし、毎月ちゃんとお給料は出るし、結構運動も勉強もできた私には天職だって思いましたよ。
You say mentally, but you're kind of cracking right now,
言
Lavi.
っても楽じゃなかっただろう。ラビーが入隊した頃の軍はろくに訓練も受けてない新兵を次々に戦線に放り込んでたからな。
ええ、まあそこそこ。
Well, she survived, though.
実際後方で経理か事務をやるかと思ってたら、いきなり前線送りになったのは驚きましたよ。
She quietly turned her gaze downward. The memories from when she had first enlisted were something she wanted to forget. There were far too many painful memories for a girl as young as she was at the time. Still, she knew it was because of those moments in her life that she became who she was today. And that was also how she met a certain young man.
今になってみて思うんですよ。自分が父親を求めてるのかもしれない。そんなことありえないと思ってたんですけどね。
父親と同じように生き死にをかけた場所を駆け抜けてきて、それでつかめたものはあるのか？
あると思います。そう考えなきゃ私の人生には救いがない。
なくてもいいだろう。
え？
Inaba stood and walked to her side.
ラビー、お前の人生はまだまだ先が長い。救いがないとかそんなことを気にするのは年取ってからにしろ。くだらないこと考えてうじうじ悩んでる間に青春終わっちゃいました。じゃ切ないだろう。
それは実体験から来る忠告ですか？
Oh!
なんだとこのクソガキ。
Oh! Damn! Major Inaba slightly tapped her on the head with the back of his hand.
ま、俺にだっていろんなことがあったさ。いろいろな。
少佐。
Lavi couldn't say anymore. She vaguely sensed that something sad had occurred in Inaba's past, but Lavi also knew that she had no right to ask about it. Everyone lived with their own little demons hidden in their hearts. It might just be those little thoughts you cannot tell others that become a driving force to live. That was what Lavi thought.
でどうだ、いろいろあった者同士慰め合ってみるか。
Not the fuck?
遠慮しておきます。
Smooth one though, smooth one there. She took several steps back and glared at her fervorless superior
残
officer.
念だな。
Inaba tried his luck. He tried. He did try though. Inaba said rather seriously and returned to his seat.
振られたところで仕事に戻るか。
He tried. He tried to fool around the
それ
office.
では私も失礼します。
いや、ちょっと待て。
Oh, he's getting serious. All right. Lavi stopped mid
ちょ
salute.
っとな。しばらくここで待機してもらえないか？
仕事は午後からですから構いませんが、少佐の仕事はあちらの？
どちらかというと、あちらだな。
Oh. Of course, they were referring to the elimination and disposal of infiltrators within the research facility. Lavi's mind grew tense.
それだったらなぜ私に？もしかして春名純尉一人に任せたんですか？
いいや、春名純尉じゃなくて別の者たちに行かせた。今回はちょっとばかり事情が違うんでね。始末じゃなくて拘束だしな。
一体誰を？
After making a broadening gesture, Inaba's mouth curved to a sad grin. He tightly clenched his fist as he spoke.
かわいいメイドさんさ。
What? What does Elica have to do with this? What? No! Hold on! What does Elica have to do with this? They're gonna detain Elica?
あなたを拘束させていただきます。
It was a morning like any other. Nah, they can't do it to Elica. After finally getting Shion out of bed with some mild difficulties and brushing her hair, Elica brought Shion her breakfast before getting the laundry and finally leaving the room. An ordinary morning. The usual routines. So then why did these soldiers stop her in the middle of her duties? Elica tilted her head.
拘束？
はい。あなたを拘束させていただきます。
The fuck's she doing? 3 soldiers stood in Elica's way. They were dressed in their field gear, complete with rifle hung over their shoulders. Elica stared at the three of them, and a while with her head still tilted, then finally understood what they were after.
あらあら、拘束って緊迫プレイですか？残念ですが、私はそういった趣味は。
冗談を言っているのではないのです。
The soldiers who appeared to be the commander said with a troubled look on his
我々も
face.
手荒真似をするつもりはありません。ご同行願いますね。
Who is Soldier C?
どうしましょうか。
Elica set the basket of laundry on the floor and took an unnatural brooding pose. She took things at her own pace as
お
usual.
願いしますよ、エリカ。俺たちもやりたくてこんなことをしているわけではないのです。
少佐もきっと悪いようにはしません。ですから。
ちなみに何の容疑ですか？
あなたが行った外部との不正な通信が確認されています。
Elica's a spy?
ことはシオン絡みのようですが、国家反逆罪が適用される可能性もあります。
あらあら、穏やかではないですね。
Elica did get her radio repaired.
あなたがまいた種なのです。外部に情報が漏れているとなると、稲葉少佐が内々に処理することも難しいかもしれない。
あらあら、警備隊長といっても所詮は左官の悲しさですかね。
Elica, wait, what side is this
冗
coming
談を言ってい
from?
るのではないとわからないのですか。
分かってますよ。ただあなた方をからかってるだけで。
Elica's laughing at the sight of death, man.
エリカ、
すっかり忘れてましたよ。少佐さんは油断のならない相手だってことを。
Hold. A sweet smile rose across Elica's face.
少佐さんに比べてあなた方は甘すぎますね。人一人縛り上げようっていうのに
Wait.
そんな弱腰でどうしますか？
Wait a minute, Elica, hold up. You're not just straight saying try me, bitch.
何を。
逆らっちゃいますね、私。
Oh, she about to fuck someone up. Her long skirt fluttered lightly through the air. And at the same time, her slender fist stuck into the back of the soldier's hand, which held the rifle. What? Oh, wait, she fucking him up! The soldier cried out and dropped his rifle. Elica took another step, stomped her foot into the carpet, spun around, and drove her elbow like an arrow into the pit of the man's stomach. Hold on. He fathered at the mouth, and the pitiful soldier collapsed as his eyes rolled up into his head.
Take off!
The 2 soldiers panicked and quickly pointed their rifles towards the girl. Elica laughed quietly. They reacted late to this unexpected situation, far too late. The girl sneered at the soldiers who were supposed to be professionals at combat. She kicked away the barrel of the gun pointed at her and swung her leg again, no sooner than it had touched the ground.
Ah!
Oh, hey, look, nice little panty shot. Oh, wait, that's probably not legal. Oh, no. Her skirt flipped up the risk level, yet the soldier let out a cry of neither surprise nor pleasure. Elica's long, limber leg extended, and her heels sunk into the soldier's jaw before he finished his scream. Christ. Without looking at the fallen soldiers, Elica giggled as she turned to face the last one standing. Friendly fire was a concern in such close quarters, so he could not easily fire at her. They should have sent an entire platoon, or perhaps sent more skilled soldiers if they truly wanted to restrain her. Then again, Major Inaba likely didn't consider that a maid would resist, much less that she would overpower his subordinates. Elica, the goddess of destruction over here! God dang! I did not realize Elica had it in her. Though I did kind of see it coming that she was probably going to be a low-key badass. But damn, she fucking them up. Go, my girl!
打たないんですか?
Oh, go at it.
こんなことをしても何の意味もありませんよ。
予定を繰り上げるだけです。なんとかなるでしょう。
予定って何の？
今はそんなことよりご自分の心配をした方がいいですよ。応援を呼びます？誰か通りかかるのを待ちます？
Yeah, he's kind of fighting a boss right here.
私はどれでもいいですよ。
The lone remaining soldier could only tremble like a new recruit before the grinning, glooming girl.
どうなってるんだこいつは。
They had conveniently collapsed right where there was a blind spot in the surveillance network. 3 soldiers were piled on top of one another. I recognized their faces, but couldn't recall their
全員
names.
生きてはいるようだな。
Going out of my way to check for breathing and pulses was unnecessary. They didn't seem to be bleeding either. Had they been struck by something or suffered a surprise attack?
そこらを探ってみるか。
I couldn't afford to ignore this. It was certain that some trouble had transpired. As I was about to walk away, I noticed something had been left beside the fallen soldiers. A laundry basket? There was a dress inside.
まさか。
ピンポーン。
At the very moment, the answer came to my mind. A boundless, cheerful voice reached my ear.
ピンポーン。
Okay, well, Elica's going on a freaking rampage. Let's go! A cheerful and out-of-place voice abruptly responded through the quiet office. Inaba, who had been looking over the documents, and Lobby, who had been staring absent-minded out of the window, both snapped their heads up.
聞こえますか？研究所の皆さん。エリカさん？
だな。
Inaba nodded, reached for the PC on his desk, and opened a communications
皆
channel.
さんご存知、メイドのエリカです。今朝は皆さんにお知らせしたいことがあって、所内放送をお借りしています。
Oh boy, oh boy.
おい、どうなってるんだ？時田分隊は何をしてる？
Yo, they got fucking wrecked, buddy! He couldn't get through to the squad that was supposed to have apprehended Elica. If he could hear Elica's happy-go-lucky voice over the facility speakers, then it was evident something had happened to the squad.
伝えつけるのは好みじゃないんで、さっさと言っちゃいますね。実は、あと28分ほどで、この研究所は大爆発して、電波不禁になります。
Wait, what?
ほう。
Oh! Like, oh, that's not good.
いや、ほうじゃないでしょう。
Oh, the maid went on a rampage instead of fucking bomb. Oh shit.
というのも、地下に埋め込まれてる TNT 爆弾が起爆スイッチを
He's shitting his
やった
pants.
からです。
You could actually see, you were actually able to see the moment where he just shit his pants.
この研究所には貴重なデータがうなるほどありますから、敵の手に落ちた事態を想定して、そういう物騒なものが用意されていたわけです。
Who's Elica working for?
ね
Is Elica doing this for the sake of Shion's freedom? I would assume that whatever Elica's doing is for Shion's benefit. But why?
スイッチを押したあんたの方が怖いよ。
少佐、冷静に突っ込んでる場合じゃ。
ちなみに解除コードは私も知らないので、もうどうやっても止まりません。あと20数分でコードを見つけ出すのは無理でしょうね。
そのようだな。
Inaba sighed as he fiddled with his workstation. Only the commanding officer of the facility, Inaba himself, could have activated the device. That's how it should have been, but the emergency shutdown code Inaba knew was not being accepted. The program had apparently been rewritten somehow.
ごめんなさい。でも海岸くらいまで逃げれば死んじゃうことはないと思いますので、今から脇目も振らずに
Better get to running, everybody!
余裕で安全圏まで逃げられます。頑張ってくださいね。それではご清聴ありがとうございました。
The progress ended with a snap. Next fell an indescribable silence.
どういうことですか？
やってくれたじゃないか。まさか取り逃がした上にこんなことになるとはな。全く予想できなかった。あのメイドさん、思っていたよりはるかに手強いらしい。さすが伊達に長生きしてないということか。
She is a Felix after all.
そういうことじゃなく、どう対処するつもりですか？
Handle this!
総員退避だ。決まってるだろ。
Inaba immediately opened a comm system and begun to advise all squads and personnel within the building to evacuate. That was the one and only thing he, the man in charge, could do. Inaba was concentrating so much on giving direction that he had not noticed Lavi had disappeared. Oh, shit's going down, man. I could hear music. That gentle melody, comfortably streaming from the radio, had a somewhat solemn tune to it. It almost sounded like it belonged at a funeral.
本当にこれでよかったのか。
それを考えるのは後回しにします。今はやらなければいけないことがありますから。
Yo, don't tell me they're about to duke it out. The maid girl smiled sweetly and set the portable terminal on the table. At her feet were the fallen soldiers who were supposed to be guarding Shion.
エリカがやったのか。それ。
ちゃんと謝ってから殴りましたよ。聞こえたかどうかはわかりませんけど。
Smiling, she struck her own fists with a pop. It looked like this maid was quite capable of protecting her master.
それにしてもさすがりょうくんは動きが早いですね。真っ先にここに来るなんて。
俺はシオンの護衛だ。彼女のところに駆けつけるのは当然だろ
う。いいですよね。
何がだ。
そうやって義務で動いていれば何も考えずに済む。悩みも苦しみもなくて、命令だからと理由をつけて何をやっても自分が傷つくこともない。
Elica, don't make us do this. Don't make us do this, Elica.
自分がやりたくないことでも命令だから仕方ない。その一言で片付けてしまう。
Elica, we don't need to do this. Elica took a deep breath.
そんな生き方で満足なのですか、春名亮。
Oh, okay. Okay, that caught me off guard.
あなたにはあなたの自分の意志があるでしょ。人に言われるままに動いて、それで何の不満も後悔もなく死ねるのですか。
どんな生き方を選ぼうと後悔しない確信なんて持てるものか。
Don't make me do it! Elica, don't make him do it! I drew my handgun and slowly pointed at it to Elica. Ryou, no! We were about 3 meters apart. It would be difficult for me to miss at this distance.
俺からも聞きたい。なぜこんな危険を冒してまでシオンのために尽くす。
throw the soldiers into chaos, and use that opportunity to break Shion out of the facility. It was a simple plan, but I couldn't say it had a very high likelihood of success. Shion aside, if the orchestrator here were to make any
決ま
mistakes,
ってるじゃないですか。私はシオンが好きなんです。シオンの最初で最後の願い。外の世界をあの子が見たいと言うなら、私が見せてあげる。それは約束でもあるんです。遠い日に交わした、決して破ってはいけない約束。
もう引き返せないんだな。
はい。あの子の願いを引き届けてあげられる人間は、この世に私一人しかいないから。だから、私は、
the eyes of the girl standing before my muzzle were filled with conviction. Eyes of someone with complete faith that they had made no mistakes. Sis, I suspected I had made those very same eyes when I left the place I was born and raised and entered the military. But at some point, the fire in my eyes had grown dull. I stopped focusing on my goals and gave up on thinking for myself.
エリカには何も得るものがないとしても、
利益も理由もいりません。ただ、シオンが心から笑ってくれれば。
That a boy. I said nothing and lowered my gun. Elica was just like I was once. She needed something. If only the person precious to her, the person she loved, could smile, that was enough. It was the only thing in the world we wished for. I had lost sight of who I was and had forgotten that.
エリカ。準備はどれくらい整っているんだ？
He's about to assist.
りょうくん？
Elica gazed at me and seemed to be sizing me up. This was the first I sensed any astonishment in her usual cool-headed gaze. This may have been what she was like as a scientist.
俺は心のどこかで姉さんともう会えないことを、死んでいることを分かっていたと思う。だからあとは死ぬだけだった。戦って戦って少しでも多くの敵を打ち倒してやるつもりだったんだ。それが軍人になった俺にできるただ一つのことだったから。だけどそれももういい。どうせいらない命なら、自分のために使わない命なら誰かのために使おうと思う。生きようとしている命を守るために。
Elica's eyes, within which dwelled a plethora of intricate colors, closed solemnly. She nodded slightly.
ほとんど仕込みは役に立たないと考えていいでしょう。自爆装置は夏目が脱出用に組んだプログラムなんですよ。
姉さんが？
でも昔はあまり警備も厳しくなかったから、夏目は簡単にヘリを奪って脱出できたんです。
その時使わなかったプログラムをここに連れ戻されてからエリカに託したってわけか。
もちろん他にもいくつか保険はかけておいたんですが、今すぐに使えるものはほとんどありませんね。
つまりあとは出たとこ勝負か。あまり分のいい賭けじゃないぞ、エリカ。
How much could be done in the 20 minutes remaining? She wouldn't know if she didn't try. She had to try.
無謀は承知の上です。でも私が拘束されてしまったら、脱出なんて不可能ですから。
Detained. That damn major was quicker on his feet than I thought.
こうするしかなかったんです。
Elica forced a smile and held out her hand.
それでもりょうくんが協力してくれるなら、可能性は随分広がります。もちろん強制はしません。あなたの心のままに。
Now we gotta help her, as my heart tells me. I had already searched my heart. I was sure that was
署
enough.
内は混乱してる。エリカとシオンが足手まといにならなければいけるかもしれない。
私もシオンもきちんと自分の足で走りますよ。
I held my hand out towards Elica as she smiled. And Lavi. Oh no. I couldn't comprehend what had just happened. No sooner than I heard the sound of the air being sliced in the next second. Something had sprouted from Elica's side. No, something had pierced her! Elica's eyes went wide as she gazed at the foreign object approach. Lavi.
そこまでよ、エリカ。
Lavi. A familiar face stood in the doorway and spoke that sinister line with a very short knife in hand. Those were throwing knives.
ラビー。
春菜純衣、あんたは黙ってて。今はそっちのメイドに用があるの。
あら、なんでしょう。
Elica cast a sweet smile towards Lavi, who wasn't even trying to hide her thirst for
ラ
blood.
ビーちゃん、まだ逃げてなかったんですか？急いだ方がいいと思いますよ。
逃げるのはやれるだけのことをやってからよ。
そんなものないと思いますが。
あんたがシオンを誰よりも大事に思っているのは知ってる。そのシオンが逃げ切れる保証もないのに、解除できない自爆スイッチなんて押すかな。
押すかなって言われても押しちゃいましたし。
Lavi flung her wrist without a moment of hesitation. Yo, stop! Yo, fucking stop! The knife flew with tremendous force. Elica's knees gave out as it pierced deeply into her thighs. Yo! Okay, we gotta stop her.
動くんじゃない、順位。
Nah, we fighting. Before I knew it, Lavi had drawn her favorite survival knife.
エリカ、あんたは解除コードを知っている。もしくは自爆なんてただのハッタリの可能性もあるね。
ここにだってプログラマーは何人かいます。とっくに調べて、その結果もラビーちゃんは知ってるんでしょ。
起爆装置の作動と同時にシステムにロックがかかって確認すらできなかったそうよ。あんたの言うことを鵜呑みにするのはどうかと思うね。
信じなければ死ぬだけです。
死ぬのはあんたよ。
Yeah, no, we gotta kill her. We gotta kill her. We gotta kill her. We gotta kill her. Nah, we can't let this go on. With those words, Lavi prepared her
本
knife.
当に行動を知らないっていうならそれでもいい。もうあんたに用はない。軍への反逆者としてここで処刑する。
Nah, man. Elica or... It's either Elica or Lavi. Lavi easily, man. I'm sorry. Ryou, you gotta do something. Elica drew her hand to her mouth and smiled
ラビ
elegantly.
ーちゃんの思惑に添えなくて悪いんですけど、私はフェリクスの最高年齢を更新し続けるつもりなので。
欲張りすぎは身を滅ぼすよ、エリカ。
もうそこまでだ、ラビー。
は？
そこまでだと言ったんだ。
Oh my god! Elica! I walked up to Elica's side, bent down, and checked the wounds on her flank and thigh. Let's see. Christ! The artery on her thigh didn't seem to be severed, but it certainly was bleeding a lot. As far as the knife in her side was concerned, I couldn't tell whether it reached reached any internal organs. Still, both knives were quite deep. It would be far too dangerous to remove them here, where her wounds couldn't be
エリ
treated.
カ、しばらく我慢できるか。
はーい。
Oh no! Elica nodded feebly, still smiling at the same. It was actually more difficult to watch her endure the pain than if she had been riddling from it, man!
春菜純衣、一体何を考えてるの？
What do you think I'm doing?
少佐が殺せと命じたのか。
私の任務は研究所をシオンを守ること。 障害になる人間を取り除いて何が悪い
You
の
don't understand that Shion is doing this for. I mean, no, that freaking Elica is doing this for Shion,
Elica.
right?
外部と連絡を取ってたらしいけど、別に吐かせる必要もないでしょ。素人どもがこそこそ動いたところで、軍がちょっと調べればエリカの口は必要ない。
殺す必要もない。
I stood and took a step towards her. The mood instantly turned tense. Lavi lowered her hips and turned to a combat stance.
エリカを見てやれとは言ったけど、任務より優先するとは思わなかった。
お前の知ったことじゃないさ。
私はあんたを殺したくない。
Oh, Lavi, you're not killing us.
それはこっちも同じだ。
You're not
あ
killing
んた
us.
だね。
Lavi swapped to an underhanded grip and slowly closed the distance between us. I had my sidearm on me, so I had an overwhelming advantage at our current range. No matter how keen her movement may be, there was no doubt I would be able to strike first and strike true.
私が春菜純に憧れてたっていうのは嘘じゃない。多分私にとって大事な。
そりゃ光栄だね。
だから死なない程度に切り刻んであげるね。
A menacing smile rose to her face. At the same time, I took aim at her thigh and squeezed the trigger, but Lavi must have saw it coming and nimbly moved out of the bullet's trajectory. It was naive of me to aim for her leg. Lavi promptly flicked her wrist without giving me time to regret my decision. The finesse with which she handled her knife was like witchcraft, and she sat still, chills down my spine. I couldn't tell where she drew it from, nor when she threw it, but before I knew it, a knife had pierced the back of my right hand. Oh Christ! Oh Christ! Oh Christ! I turned and threw my pistol at Lavi's face. Of course, Lavi swatted it away with a quick snap at her hand. But in that split second, I pulled the throwing knife out of my hand and closed it on her.
Haruna!
Be it in close combat or a knife fight, I had no intention of being defeated by anyone. And there was no time left for me to play around with this trickster. Lavi did not run away. In fact, she drew closer, brandishing yet another knife. She took aim at my carotid arteries and let loose another speedy, bloody, thirsty blade in the exact way I had expected. I ducked and sidestepped as Lavi's knife narrowly grazed and scuffed on my neck. Our piercing stares met one another, but for a moment, I firmly gripped the knife, took aim, and thrusted. The sensation of flesh being torn apart ran through my hand. Damn, her quiet shriek was accompanied by a sudden spray of blood which danced through the air. Was it too shallow? Lavi's face wrapped in pain as she doubled back briefly. An endless stream of blood trickled from her wrist, but she still had a firm grip on her knife. I was hesitant to say that had been enough to take away her ability to
舐
fight.
めた真似してくれるじゃないの。
何のことだ。
We're not trying to hurt you, girl!
今手首じゃなくて腹でもどこでも刺せたでしょ。あんたの腕なら最初の一発で私を撃ち殺せたはず。なんで何人も何人も殺してきた殺人マシーンのくせに気持ち悪いんだよ。
Oh, she wants a real fight! No! Lavi glared at me with bloodlust in her eyes. She didn't even glance at her wounded hand. Why was she so full of hatred? What had she gotten so angry at? A cool head was paramount in a fight to the death. Lavi knew better than to let herself be consumed by rage.
まさか私に情でも移ったの？だったらとんだ見込み違いね。
Yeah, her mental health is definitely not that good.
春菜純尉。
Nah, Lavi's mental health is
お
out.
前にそこまで期待されていたとは知らなかったな。ラビー
I flung Lavi's blood from the blade with a slight sling. Even a small knife like this would be enough to take a life. The more you kill, the more you come to realize just how fragile the human body really is. Lavi was strong and had lived through her fair share of carnage, but even then, she would be no match for me. If she was beginning to doubt herself and turn emotional in the middle of battle, then she couldn't hold a candle against a machine like me.
盛り上がってるところ申し訳ないんですが。
Elica, hang in there! We'll be done in a minute! Both of us suddenly stopped as we heard the sound of Elica's slow voice. Elica was smiling sweetly despite the fact her face had clearly gone
や
pale.
めましょうよ。そういうの。りょうくんとラビーちゃんがやり合うと
Elica, hang in there! Elica, please!
私、ここは私の顔を立てて。
We gotta get Elica to a medic.
あんたが原因でしょ。あんたが。
Lavi was completely right.
私だって春菜とやり合いたくなんてない。でもあんたがエリカさんがさん付けに戻ってますね。
Blushing, Lavi took a step back, surprised at her own words.
実は何気にショックだったんですよ。ずっとエリカさんって呼んでくれてたのに、さっきは呼び捨てだったから。
Elica, no.
それはだって。
Lavi tripped over her own words, the knife still in her hand. I picked up the handgun I had dropped. The murderous look on her face had almost completely faded, but I didn't want to drop my guard just yet.
だって何ですか？
Harlan was just sitting there like a Chad, just in silence. Elica was kind to a fault and urged Lavi to continue.
だってエリカさんのことお姉さんみたいに思ってたんだもの。
Then why the hell you throw a goddamn knife into her arteries, man? But why you throw a knife at her? You could have just talked this out. But no, you went straight for her life. The knife fell from her hand. Oh, no. Don't get sappy now. Don't get sappy now. She bit her lip, stared straight at Elica, and sounded like she might cry any second. Nah, you did. Elica may have done this, but you also did this, Lavi. You better shut the fuck up.
何も悪いことはしてませんよ。
If Elica dies, you deserve to die too. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
わがままになっちゃっただけ。
I am sorry, Lavi. But if Elica goes, you are too.
ラビーちゃんは悪くない。
Elica spoke gently and tried to console Lavi.
エリカさんも好きだし、春菜ジェイは私に強さを教えてくれた人だもの。こんなじゃ嫌に決まってるじゃない。
Christ. Lavi had tried to stay faithful to her mission. That was only natural since she was a soldier. However, before she was a soldier, she was a human being. And because she was human, the knife fell from her hand.
分かってますよ。少佐さんのためにも私を見逃すことはできなかった。
Elica!
そうでしょ。
Why? I don't want to see Elica like this. Lavi
ラビー
nodded.
ちゃんはみんなのことが好きなんですね。だからこそ誰のために何をやればいいのか迷ってしまう。それでいいと私は思いますよ。
Had everything been sorted out? Lavi didn't seem to have any fight left in her, so all that was left was escape. That wasn't going to be easy. Now with fucking Elica practically handicapped, there was almost no time left until the
春
explosion.
菜獣医。
Lavi spoke to me aimlessly as she applied pressure on her wrist dripping with blood.
シオンを連れてここ出ていく気なの。
あ
世界を敵に回すことになるのよ。それでも
あ、たった一人の女の子の願いも聞き届けられない。そんな世界を認められるものか。
バカな生き方。 このままシオンの護衛を務めていれば士官にだってなれるっていうの。私はそんなバカには付き合ってられない。
Be that way. She spun around.
私の居場所は軍にしかないから。
俺もそう思っていたよ。
ずっとあんたがそう思っていてくれたら、私は
Rip.
春菜獣医
Rip the lobby route.
のなんでもない。結局バカばかりなんだ。
Don't get poetic on me
あ
now.
んたも
Her quiet
私も。
footsteps faded into the distance. Lobby left without even once looking back. I doubt it was my imagination that she looked a little lonely as she walked away. I walked back to Elica's side. Baz, yo. Welcome aboard, Baz. Thanks for the raid, man.
エリカ、
Okay, wait, no. Back to Elica. We gotta check on Elica, man. Her tone was the same as usual, but she was sweating profusely. Her wounds, her thigh in particular, wouldn't stop bleeding. It was clear that not tending to her now would be a
確
mistake.
かエリカは医学の心得もあるんだったよな。
We gotta do something! Think quick, Ryou!
まあ一応
それなら治療器具も持っているだろう。どこだ？
I had only learned some first aid, but that had to be better than nothing. I should probably go find a medic or a field doctor, although they probably already escaped the compound by now.
もしかして私の手当てをする気ですか？
Elica, you are not dying. You are
それな
not
らいいん
dying.
ですよ。
You are not dying on me,
いい
girl.
って何が？
私もうすぐ死んじゃうみた
Elica,
い
no! Don't say that! Elica, please! Elica, die!
私
Elica,
の残
no!
り時間もあんまり長くなかったみたい。そこに来てこの傷は
Fuck, Lobby! Fuck, Lobby!
ダメですね。
Lobby, why?
そんなことは。
終わりは待ってはくれません。りょうくんも知っているはずですよ。
エリカ、まさか自分のこと分かってたんじゃないのか？
So, has she been lying about being in perfect health and there being no signs? It was hard to understand what was going on in her heart since she was always smiling so sweetly. But, had Elica been suffering through this all on her
さ
own?
て、どうでしょう。自分のことって案外わからないですからね。
Elica, why? If she was going to die soon, then
どう
why?
して笑っているんだ？
これで良かったと思えるからです。
Elica, you were the best.
そんなことより、これ使ってください。
何？
Her hand trembled as she took a handkerchief from her pocket and handed it to
ほ
me.
ら、手から血が出てます。それ結構深いです
More
よ。
important than that, can we do
と
at
りあえ
least
ず
anything to
こ
keep
の
you
ハンカチ
going?
巻きつけて止血してください。
エリカ、
Her wound was far worse, so what was she doing?
自分では巻きにくいですよね。私がやりますから。
Elica, no.
手を出して
Elica, no, you're too much. You're too kind. Elica, please. This is just a
麻酔
scratch.
傷だ。
ダメです。ちゃんと治療しないと怒っちゃいますよ。私
Elica, please. 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 Her eyes said she was serious. I held out my hand as she requested. She took her time and wrapped the handkerchief around my hand.
よかった。本当によかった。取り返しのつかないことにならなくて。りょうくんもラビーちゃんも。
エリカ、
My blood was already seeping into the handkerchief.
はい、できました。でも 後でちゃんとした手当てを。
A door near us opened with a quiet click. Shion! The girl who entered turned and looked at us with a deep, unfathomable gaze.
シオン、
Shion looked around the room, but her complexion changed when she noticed Elica.
エリカ、私たちは何人もの仲間たちとお別れしてきた。私がこうなることも分かっていたでしょ。
何度経験しても慣れることなんてできない。
シオンは優しいから。
Bruh.
一体誰が。
Shion asked as she looked at the knife in Elica's side with an icy
ダ
gaze.
メ。そんなこと聞いちゃダメよ、シオン。
でも、あなたをこんな目に遭わせた人を、私知ってるの、エリカ。私よりもあなたの方が外に出たがっていたことを。エリカは辛くても顔にも言葉にも出さないけれど、本当はこんなところにいたくなかったのでしょ。いつも活発だったあなたは、広い世界を自由に駆け回りたかったのに。
Okay, so this is all heartwarming and all, but can we like evacuate because there's a bomb about to go
あ
off?
なたのささやかな願いを奪った人間を、私は。
あら、バレてましたか。
Can we like do some restoration magic on Elica, please, and just leave? Come on. Elica sounded a bit troubled, but gently shook her
で
head.
も、恨んではダメ。
Elica smiled sweetly and kindly.
あなたはもうすぐ自由になる。
I know, right? Just pull some isekai magic, please.
あなたは楽しい時間を過ごすの。せっかくの自由な時間を誰かを憎むことに使ったりしちゃいけないの。
Nah, fuck Lobby. She deserves it. She deserves death.
そうだね。
As touching as this moment was, there was a little of emotions behind their words. Even though the two of them had spent all their lives together, even though they would never see each other again, these last words with each other were short and to the point.
そんなことより、そっちは。
一応ジャミングはかけたし、研究所内のセキュリティもほぼ無効化しておいた。
So they both plotted this together. So she was hacking into the security system. I was wondering what she was doing, still holed up in her room, as the self-destruct counted down.
外部からの増援に関してはしばらく心配いらない。だけど、
大丈夫。私が行けなくなっても、りょうくんがいます。
春菜順位。
Shion and Elica looked my way. As I looked closely, I could see that their eyes were similar.
ああ。俺がシオンを連れて行く。誰の手も届かないところ。シオンが静かに過ごせる場所へ。
ね、りょうくんならちゃんと連れて行ってくれますから。だから心配しないで。ベッドの下にシオンの荷物がまとめてありますから。悪いですけど、りょうくん持って行ってあげてくれますか。
Elica.
わかった。
It didn't have to be this way,
ついで
Elica.
と言ってはなんですけど、
Even at her death, she's glowing, man. Even at her grave, she
邪魔
glows.
になったら捨てても構いませんから。
She shines bright,
わ
man.
かった。エリカ、わかったよ。
Elica waited for my nod, then gently looked at Shion.
きちんとりょうくんの言うことを聞いて。あまりわがままを言ってはダメですよ。
さよならなの？
私には二人についていけるような命が残っていないんです。だからごめんね。
She put all she had into that last sentence. I knew those words were not directed at me. The 100 years Shion and Elica had spent together had now ended.
私たちは行く。エリカ、姉さんのこと私は忘れない。
Can we at least let Elica go outside for like 2
私の
seconds,
魂が燃え
please?
尽きても
Just 2
姉さんの
seconds.
こと
I'll
忘
be
れない。
fine with that too. Just let her see the outside world, man. Please.
忘れないで、シオンちゃん。ずっとあなたの記憶の中に
At least let her see the
私
outside
をとど
world,
まら
man.
せていてね。
I wasn't sure if there ever was such a thing as a happy farewell, but there was something spiritual about the sight of those two girls sharing their final words with each other. There were no tears in Shion and Elica's eyes. Quite the contrary, the vibrant smile on Elica's dying face made this parting feel as if it was filled with hope. I looked at my watch and checked how much time was remaining. We could no longer afford to dwindle. Shion was running as hard as she could, but her speed was no faster than my own. There were moments where I wondered if I should take her hand just so we could pick up the pace. There shouldn't have been anyone left to get in our way, but even then, we couldn't tell if we'd make
ま
it.
ずは少佐のところだな。さっさと逃げ出してなければいいんだが。
稲葉少佐はいい加減なように見えて責任感あるから、部下が全員逃げるまではここを動かないと思う。
天才が俺と同じ読みをしてくれるんなら大丈夫そうだな。あいつを引っかからないことには始まらない。
We're just gonna leave Elica like that. We're just gonna leave Elica like that, man. Can't believe it. The past, the major held was essential to operating the one and only helicopter on this island.
だけどヘリを奪うと言ってもパイロットはどうするの？
Who you think?
ライセンスは持ってないが、2度ほど飛ばしたことがある。アクロバットは無理でも、落ちない程度の飛行は可能だと思う。
と思うというところは聞かなかったことにする。
それはあなたの自由だ。
This was no time to stand around and chat. I took a fleeting glance at the radio under my arm. We had to hurry for the sake of the one who had given us this opportunity as
春菜
well.
順位、
なんだ？
あなたはなぜ私のために？私たちはまだ会ったばかりと言ってもいいくらいなのに。
It was a rare opportunity to see Shion looking baffled. Shion, we don't got time for this. It was also difficult for me to answer when she looked at me like that. I wanted to ask her what happened to her usual deadpan expression, but I had the feeling she wouldn't appreciate not getting a proper answer. That's why I told her the first thing that came to mind.
寂しい人を見て、優しくしてあげたい。なんて思うやつは、多分そいつも寂しい人間なんじゃないかって。
Interesting saying.
俺はそう思う。
あなたも寂しいの？
軍に入って自分の居場所を見つけたような気がしてた。でも、それだけじゃ足りなかったんだな。俺が本当に欲しかったものは、遠い過去に置き忘れてきた何か。取り戻すことはできなくても、あなたを守れたら、俺は後悔せずに生きられると思うんだ。
それが錯覚かもしれなくても？
自分の心に生まれた感情だって、人はすぐには信じられない。だけど、錯覚かもしれない感情を真実にするために、生きていくんだろう。
What the fuck he talking about, man? That's kind of hitting close to home.
あなたは
Yeah, nah, he earned like, nah, he earned maximum points from that one line alone, I think. Shion chuckled and began to smile. It felt like this was the first time I saw a real smile from her. The simple fact that I was able to see this may have meant the simple fact that I was able to see this may have meant that what I was doing was worthwhile.
行こう、シオン。
後悔のない未来のために。
あ
We gently took each other's hand, like two kids about to dance together for the first time. The girl sat with her back against the wall and awkwardly fiddled with the portable terminal. As she had not used such a device for many years, she wasn't very efficient in cracking the code, but still, she managed to do it. Elica. She read the message on the screen. It appeared that the detonation sequence had been successfully terminated.
これでも私たちの生まれ育った家ですからね。爆破なんてできませんよ。
Elica! There was nobody there to hear her, but she felt like she had to say it. Don't worry, Elica! I'm here! I'm here for you, girl! I'm here for your final moments, man. Trust, I'm listening. No, she may have said it. She may have said it out loud because there was nobody there to hear her. With this, Elica's final task was complete. Now she could pass with no regrets. She was positive that the kind young man Natsume had once raved about would protect Shion to the bitter end. She could feel her heartbeat weakening little by little. The knives were still stuck in her, but Elica could no longer feel the pain. All she felt was a sleepiness, which was hard to defy, and a haze beginning to cloud over her mind.
シオ、夏目、ラビちゃん、りょうくん。
An endless stream of faces flashed before her eyes. Memories of days long past danced before her, and she felt like she could hear a long-forgotten voice. She listened closely. That voice was calling her. It was a very, very kind and warm voice. The girl smiled and opened her mouth slightly.
今、低め。
Elica!
大丈夫。私には後悔なんてないから。
Ray, how you doing, man?
そう。
How's it going? Yo, how's your week went? I guess you can care to share, man. Elica, man, she mustered the last of her strength and reached out for the heavens. Her hands are glowing! Elica, go be one with the gods! You will be there. I can't, dude. In order to find out, her heart ascended to the sky. She became one with the light. She finally did it. Goodbye, Elica. I took Shion's hand and kept running. She was running so hard, her legs were starting to fumble over each other. Although she did not have a body which would allow her to overexert herself, she could still push herself a little, at least for now. We had taken a bit of a detour after parting with Elica, so there was little time remaining. The explosive device should have been disabled, but we had to get out of here before the soldiers returned. Oh shit. We came to a stop. Freedom was practically a step away.
やっぱり、まだここにいたの。
Inaba, the final man, the boss. A single man stood in our way. He wasn't particularly daunting with an absent-minded expression on his face like always.
一応、責任者だからな。さっさと逃げ出すと、かっこ悪いし。
Inaba was a pretty cool dude.
格好の問題ですか。
I mean, yeah, he a cool dude, man. He gotta do what
男
he
が
gotta
格
do.
好を気にしなくてどうするんだ。そりゃ自分の存在意義を否定するようなもんだぞ。
あんたの存在意義って、外見を格好つけることか。
The major grinned and shrugged his shoulders. He behaved the same as ever despite the fact we were in a state of emergency. Come to think of it, 7 years ago, this man kept calm in front of my sister.
まあ、そんなことはどうでもいい。ちょうどよかった。脱出用ヘリのパス。あんたが持っているんだろ？執務室にもどこにもいなくて焦ったが、あんたが律儀で本当に助かったよ。
これのことか。
Like magic, a small card appeared in the major's hand.
いくら出す？
言っておくが、命は金では買えない。
I let go of Shion's hand and pulled my handgun from its holster.
春菜順位。
今は冗談に付き合ってる暇はないんだ。
I calmly asserted in response to his frail voice. But even with a gun pointed at him, the major was the spitting image of calm.
エリカはどうした？
彼女が時間を稼いでくれた。それを無駄にしないためにも、あんたと問答してる余裕はないんだよ。
そうか。彼女も言ったか。
The major appeared thoroughly composed, and he seemed to have expected Elica's demise.
だが、エリカを失い、それでこれからどうする？外に飛び出して、一体どこへ行くつもりだ？忘れたわけじゃあるまい。この星はもうすぐ終わるんだ。あまり時間は残されていない。この地上のどこに逃げたところで、終わりは避けられない。
もしも明日、世界が終わるとしても、俺は今を諦めない。終わりが怖くて、今を生きられるか。
What I feared was not being true to myself, and averting my eyes from that which was important. Everyone will die someday. I don't want to regret it when that day inevitably arrives.
だったら、さっさと行くんだな。何？
The major nodded slightly.
ここでお前たちの邪魔をしたら、今度こそ夏目は許してくれない気がするんだよ。
Inaba! The bro!
そうだ。俺が今日まで生きてきたのは、夏目に許してもらいたかったからだ。
それは、俺も同じだよ、少佐。
お前は夏目に恨まれていない。愛されていたんだ。俺には捕まえられなかったあいつの心を、お前はその手に掴んだんだ。
Damn.
行ってこい。夏目が選んだお前なら、力を身につけた今のお前なら、俺のような過ちは犯さないだろう。
少佐、あんたはこうなることを分かっていて、いや、シオンをここから救い出すために俺を呼んだのか。
まさか、そこまで未来を見通すような目は持ち合わせてない。お前やエリカ、それにシオンが自分で選んでたどり着いた今さ、俺は何もしていないよ。
After a tiny laugh, the major stared far off into the distance.
お前は前に聞いたな。
ああ。
俺はどこにでもいる普通の男だった。親に言われるままに士官学校に入り、少尉になってここに来て、そして夏目と出会った。特別な存在である彼女に、寂しそうな彼女に俺は惹かれた。どうしようもなく惹かれたんだ。だけど俺は彼女の寂しさを知りながら何もできなかった。何も。
Were those eyes of his reliving memories of the distant past? Memories I did not know. Memories of my sister when she was at this facility.
命令だったとはいえ、なぜ夏目を追いかけたんだろう。そっとしておかなかったんだろう。 いや、夏目が外に出たがっていたことを知っていたんだから。俺、りょう、今のお前のように。
俺はあんたの希望を叶えるためにここにいるんじゃない。
わかってるさ。俺がそう思いたいだけだ。自分の罪を軽くしたいだけなんだろうな。
Major Inaba's sins. Was his sins bringing her back to this facility? Everyone decides on their own just how much their conscience weighs on themselves, so I couldn't tell just how guilty Major Inaba felt. My sister was no longer with us, so seeking forgiveness would be futile.
それでも何かをせずにはいられない。情けないもんだな、俺も。
My dude. Damn. I more than likely never once actually hated the Major. My anger at how helpless I was likely far surpassed any resentment I ever felt for him. I couldn't hate this man, even though he took back my sister. Somewhere in my heart, I knew he felt much worse about what happened than anyone else, or perhaps I should say, worse than I did. I returned my gun to its holster.
俺たちは行きます。
Oh, here we go.
ああ、さっさとしないとみんな戻ってきちまうぞ。
He grinned at me once more and handed me the pass. I accepted it silently. There was nothing more to be said. All that remained was to protect what I had been entrusted with.
稲葉少佐、
Shion stepped forward soundlessly and faced the
これ
Major.
まで私を守ってくれてありがとう。あなたがいたから私は今日まで無事でいられた。
いえ、俺は自分の仕事をしていただけです。それに、あなたを守ることを自分の償いの一つとしていただけです。俺自身の絶望をごまかす手段だったのです。ですが、礼を言うのはこちらの方なのですよ。あなたがいたから、俺は少しだけ楽になれた。ありがとうございました。
Elica didn't have to die, you know? The Major gave Shion a flawless salute. Shion silently nodded in response.
シオン。
We began to run once more. We passed the Major and ran towards the door.
春菜獣医、
なんだ。
私あなたを信じる。今度は私自身の意志で今を諦めないと言ったあなたの言葉を、あなた自身を信じるから。だから連れて行って、どこまでも遠くへ。
あ
I would never betray this girl who held so much faith in me. This girl who so willingly showed me her smile and gave me her trust. I would protect her in every way possible. Elica, Lobby, Major, we will do all we can to shake free of this sadness. We'll live up to everyone's hopes and dreams. Because we've chosen a future with no regrets.
あらあら。
Damn. That bird was unbound from her chains and released from her cage. Damn, man. Elica didn't have to die, though. Well, I guess that's it, y'all. Oh, and then, okay. And then, And then the world became theirs alone. Oh, is that it? What that's it? That's it? That's the story of the mansion? No one decided to chase after them? Everyone just, went into space and that's it? GG, well played. Okay. Not what I expected, but one
ある
day.
日、
Oh.
世界が壊れる音を聞いた。ひび割れた未来への道は歩きづらくて、私は何度も転んでしまう。だけど、立ち上がれる。あなたがいるから、何度でも立ち上がれる。世界が終わるその日まで、私は前に進むことを恐れない。
Well, that's it. I'm stopping there. It's looking like that the next playthrough is most likely going to be the last one then, huh? I was expecting more to go on in the mansion. Elica didn't have to die. I will still stand by that. Elica didn't have to die. Lavi should not have done that. Okay, but this story, not what I expected though. I was really expecting a lot more action. I mean, we got action, we got some badass moments, especially from Elica all throughout this playthrough. Elica still didn't have to die. They could at least let her see the outside world, then perish. That would have been nice. But either way, it looks like we're coming to the conclusion in this story. So we'll just get to see what happens next time. I'm gonna stop the playthrough here, y'all. It's been a good run for Eden. I'm not sure if this is like a whole new chapter at this point, like as in like by chapter I mean like, a whole new segment, like now Shion's outside the mansion, so now it's gonna be their life outside the mansion, but I really don't know how much more they can add to it than that. I mean, they just now at this point they just live a peaceful life. We all can just guess what's gonna happen next. I mean, Shion's a Felix after all, so we can all totally guess what's probably gonna happen next. Unfortunately. So we'll just see how the story ends. And we'll call it a good day. This is gonna be your boy Candace here logging out. I'll see all you guys next time. Peace.